We're going to perform a drain and fill of the transmission fluid on this 2005 Chevy Express 3500. This procedure is very similar to many cars and trucks that don't have a drain plug, or the plug is damaged. The line we are going to disconnect goes to the oil cooler, and it's found on most transmissions. It can be held with a clip, like in this case, or with a hose clamp. There will be two lines. One goes to the cooler, and one returns from it. You have to figure out which one is which, and use the one you prefer to drain the fluid. If your transmission is starting to slip, or it takes longer to switch between gears, then before doing what I show you in this video, you want to start with changing the filter, as well as changing the fluid. Look for my other video doing just that. It's a good idea to do this periodically, as it will give you many more years with the transmission. By the way, the transmission fluid is one of the most overlooked fluids in the car, and wrongfully so. It's a well-documented idea that many mechanics hold by, is that on a transmission that the fluid in it is pretty dirty. You never flush or replace all the fluid in one time. Now there are those who argue with this logic and say it's not a problem, but I actually do hold by it, and it makes a lot of sense. And I've personally seen transmissions clean themselves out and become better and better over time. But of course I've seen many that have failed and couldn't be revived. I will explain more in detail in the end of the video. But if the fluid is pretty red and doesn't seem too dirty, then this is what I would do. In this video, I'll show how to drain some fluid from the transmission without removing the oil pan or any other component other than a transmission line. Due to the fact that Chevy doesn't give you a drain bolt, we have to be creative. This whole process shouldn't take much longer than a regular oil change. To perform this job, you will need a good helper, as someone will need to start and shut off the car. You will need a short piece of a 5/8 hose. It can be an old garden hose. It would probably work even better with a 3/4 inch hose. It should be at least 3 feet long. It's good if it's about 6 feet long. You will need a drain pan, or two. Preferably one of them would have the markings on the side to show the amount of fluid we removed. Otherwise you will have to measure the fluid another way, and some rags to clean up some fluid that may spill. Let's get to it. We start by removing the cover that helps keep the line in the transmission. Right here, it pulls away pretty easily. Most of the time it doesn't require a tool, but if it's stiff you can use a flathead screwdriver to pry it away. Next we will remove the little clip that locks the line in place. I like to use a small pick with a little hook on the end. You pry a corner away from the line, and the clip peels right off. Hold on to it. Hold on to it, as it's small and it can hide in many places if it falls, unless you want to run to the parts store. Next the line should slip right out. You might get a few drops of fluid with it, so have your rag handy. Now since this line is a supply line to the cooler, when you start the engine, fluid will pump out of the transmission. So we will take our hose and hold it against the little nipple of the line connector, while the other end of the hose is in our drain pan. At this point our helper starts the car, and keeps it running for about 30 to 40 seconds. That is enough time to drain about 5 quarts of fluid. Most of the fluid will go straight into our drain pan, but I did have a bit of dripping from the side of my hose. That's when the rag came in hand, and an extra pan under the transmission. I used a 5/8 hose, but a 3/4 inch hose may work better. Please let me know in the comments if you tried it. Wipe off any spilled oil around the transmission, and use brake cleaner to get the transmission looking nice and clean. Reinsert the line. Make sure it's in as much as it will go, and install the clip. If you place one end in its groove and keep twisting it around in place, and wrap it around the rest of the line, it'll clip right in place. Place the little cover. It should also clip into place. Next we will use the dipstick pipe to refill the transmission. Make sure you use the correct fluid, as GM changed their opinion regarding what type to use. In this van, they changed it to Dexron 6. Put in the amount you took out. I would recommend doing this every 10,000 miles. And a good transmission should be problem-free. Now if the transmission is already giving you problems, then you have to hope for the best. A lot of times this does help. The idea behind not flushing or changing all the fluid in one time is because transmission fluid is not only an oil, but also a detergent. So if you have dirty fluid, and you change it all with clean fluid all at once, then it may break away some dirt or grime from the inner walls of the transmission, and move it around to a small valley in the transmission, where it'll get clogged. On the other hand, if you slowly dilute the fluid, it's much less likely to happen. Let me know what you think of this theory in the comments, or if you have any personal experience with this. Also, if you subscribe to my channel, you won't miss any of my videos. And hit that little bell so you get notified when I have a new video. And you may learn many new useful tips. You're done. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and leave me comments below.